Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with Avocado Ricotta Crostini. That's right, I enjoy avocado toast just as much as the next millennial trapped in a baby boomer's body. But nevertheless, I'm always looking for variations on my favorite things to eat. So when I saw avocado and ricotta being combined on a menu recently, I was intrigued. I mean, not enough to order it, but intrigued enough to go out and buy the stuff the next day to give it a try. And I'm so happy I did because it was amazing. So with that, let's go ahead and get started by prepping the bases for this delicious bite. And what I'm going to be going with is some half-inch slices that I cut diagonally from a baguette that I'll be drizzling very generously with olive oil. And by the way, if you put enough on, you don't have to do both sides, since that will soak through as these bake. Speaking of which, once those are set, we'll go ahead and pop those into the center of a 375-degree oven for about 25 minutes or so, or until they are golden brown and crispy. And while I'm not going to prove that with a fork this time, I will give one the old tappa-tappa, so you can hear you really do want to cook these until they're crunchy. And then once that's been accomplished, we'll go ahead and set those aside until they cool completely, at which point we can move on to our extremely easy-to-make avocado spread. And we'll begin that with a review on how exactly to cut and pit an avocado. And first up, we're going to remove that little stem thing, and then we will start our cut right in the center of that, all the way until our knife hits the pit, at which point we will simply cut that all the way around. And by the way, if you're not a highly trained professional, please put a towel in your hand first, just in case. And then simply by twisting the two halves, if our avocado is ripe, it should separate cleanly, leaving us with the pit in one side that we'll remove by firmly, but not too forcefully, tapping the blade of our knife right in the center. And then all we need to do is twist and pull, and it should come out beautifully. And then, if there's only one thing you remember from this video, let it be this. Never ever pull an avocado pit off the knife. Okay, instead put your fingers behind it and gently push and pinch it off this way. And there'll be zero chance you cut yourself, as opposed to pulling it off the knife, where you have like a 90% chance of cutting yourself. So that's the best case scenario. Here is the worst case. Let's say for the sake of argument you have terrible luck, and you did everything exactly as described, but when you went to twist, this happened. The pit splits in half. And sure, you could just throw this away and try another one, or grab a spoon and try to dig it out. But don't do either of those things. Okay, if that happens, all we need to do is stab straight down into the center of the pit, and then twist, and it should come out. So anyway, just a little bonus video, in case that happens to you. Alright, as you know, we never let the food win. But regardless, once our avocado is halved and pitted, we will go ahead and scoop that into a bowl, which should be very easy if the avocado is ripe. Okay, really the only way to screw up this recipe, besides plunging a knife into your palm, would be to use an underripe, too hard avocado, which not only won't have a great texture, but the taste won't be as good either. So we want to use something nice and ripe and buttery. And then what we'll do once that's been scooped into a bowl is add some beautiful fresh ricotta cheese, which is normally made from cow's milk, but if you're at one of the fancy stores and they have a sheep's milk variety, definitely give that a try, since that's my fave. And then what we'll do once that's been added is grab a potato masher and mash this as smooth or as chunky as we want. Okay, a fork will also work. And as you can see, I mashed this pretty smooth. And then what we'll do once all that's been mashed together is squeeze in the juice of half a lemon. And by the way, the reason I'm adding this after mashing is because avocados are pretty high fat and they get really slippery when you try to mash them with a liquid. And you'll have chunks trying to fly out of the bowl. So I generally like to mash first and then add the flavorings. And then besides the lemon juice, I'm also going to add a little bit of fresh basil, as well as a nice big generous pinch of kosher salt. Okay, avocado always needs a good amount of salt. And then we'll finish this up with a little shake of cayenne. And then we'll go ahead and mix all that together, and of course give it the mandatory taste for seasoning. And do not be surprised if you need another little pinch of salt. Okay, an undersalted avocado spread is a mediocre avocado spread. And then what we'll do once that's tasting exactly how we want is go ahead and apply it to our now cooled crostini, spreading on a little or a lot. All right, never forget, you have been, are, and always will be the Chef John of how much to put on. But my personal philosophy is pile up as much as you can. So that's what I did. And once those have been spread, we can move on to probably the most fun part of the operation, the garnishing and the accessorizing of the top. And since I had some beautiful and very sweet cherry tomatoes around, I decided to do some slices of those. And then besides the tomatoes, I also decided to add some thin slices of breakfast radish, a name that I've always been amused by, since who the heck are these people eating radishes for breakfast? I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm just saying we'd have to be out of all the other breakfast foods first. But anyway, we'll go ahead and garnish those up with the seasonal vegetables of our choice. At which point I decided to shine up the tops with a little bit of olive oil. Preferably something on the bold and peppery side. And then, because undersalted tomatoes are almost as bad as undersalted avocado, I sprinkled some beautifully flaky sea salt over the top. And then for a final touch, I finish these up with a little bit of snip chive. And that's it. I don't think that plate of avocado ricotta crostini could look any better or more enticing. Except maybe if I remove that one rogue chive. There we go. I feel better now. And that, my friends, really did taste every bit as amazing as it looked. All right, the combination of that olive oil-soaked crispy crostini with our relatively light and healthy, yet still rich and satisfying avocado spread, topped with our beautiful fresh veggies, is just an incredibly great combination of tastes and textures. And it's funny, until I'd seen it written on that menu, it really had never occurred to me to combine avocado and ricotta cheese. I mean, why would it? But they really did work wonderfully together. And as far as presentation goes, this size works perfectly for like a breakfast or a lunch or a brunch. But if you cut your bread into smaller rounds, they would be perfect as a past hors d'oeuvre. Or if you're serving a larger group in a more informal setting, just do your spread in a bowl and then just surround it with your crostini and let people serve themselves. That should also work beautifully. But no matter how you decide to serve these, I really do hope you give them a try soon. So head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.